Good morning, community. Welcome to another Bible study. It's so good to see so many of you already in the space, greeting one another, loving one another, doing what we do best, connecting with God and connecting with each other. So, welcome to another day of studying. I'm going to invite you to just envision today that you're coming to the table with me. We're going to sit down and have a conversation, really lean in and look eyeball to eyeball and process this very meaningful work that we are exploring as we deep dive into day 14, Visible Beyond Skin Deep with Queen Eleanor. So you're invited to go ahead and get there to page number 67, Visible Beyond Skin Deep, with Miss Queen Eleanor, as we prepare to just sit in, like literally sit in the lessons and the work that God is doing on the inside of us. Fast forward, we know that the end of the thing is this, that Queen Eleanor had a lot of accomplishments, a lot of accolades, roles, titles, positions, authority, and the like. But at the end of her journey, it is said that she was a highly visible, invisible being. So for those of you who've been tracking with us, or those of you who are joining us for the first time, we in the community are adamantly saying, I see me. We are refusing to fade away into the dark. We're refusing to just lose ourselves, to give over ourselves, but instead we are doing the work to really understand the pieces of us that perhaps have been chipped off, the pieces of us that have been slowly erased. We're doing the work of really rediscovering who did God create us to be, and how do we embrace that? How do we really capture that and live out our very best versions of ourselves? So community, I invite you right now to just get right there in the comments and say, I see me. That's been our consistent confession over the past few days as we do the journey, do the work with Queen Eleanor. I see me. I see me. And let's add a layer of sweetness to that on this morning by just getting under another queen's name and saying, and I see you too. I see you too, girlfriend. You're looking real good over there. I see you too. You're visible to me. Go ahead and acknowledge another queen friend. And if you like, tag someone to come on into the study. I see me. And I see you too. I see you too. I see you. As we just run it back a bit to connect with what we discussed on yesterday, we talked a bit about processes. We talked about the things that kind of happen that cause us to slowly disappear, that kind of causes us to lose a bit of ourselves. I'm going to see if I have that right here so that I can pull it up. But if you can remember just a bit of what we talked about yesterday, you'll note that we talked about how the invisible process begins to occur, about how the erasing actually begins to start. And many of us understand now that it is not always this big thing that happens with an alert, but that in fact, oftentimes it just kind of shows up and it happens. And here we are, and we're just in a space where we no longer identify with ourselves. We no longer recognize ourselves. We feel lost. We feel not rooted, not grounded, not centered. So we did an extensive bit of just work, just looking at that. And it just as a quick reminder, I'm going to see if I can share that information with you just for the sake of making that very real. Here it is. Many of us may remember from yesterday that we talked about how the eraser process is slow and gradual. At times, it's even undetectable. It's the busyness of prioritizing everybody above ourselves. It's the busyness of thinking always about how to make things well for somebody else. But our capture statement that we gathered at this point, when we talked about this point right here, is I am my responsibility too. Yes, I have a lot of responsibilities to a whole lot of people, but I am my responsibility too. I have a responsibility to me about me. So, for those of you who are with us yesterday, you're welcome to shout amen. For others who are really just processing that for the first time, you'll have to go back and listen to the lesson in totality. But for today, you're invited to just receive that I am a responsibility to me too. I'm a part of my responsibilities, a high priority in my own responsibility list. I am a responsibility to me too. Secondly, we looked at this piece about the erasure or the vanishing or the invisible process, is that the erasure process is often politely dogmatic. Again, you're invited to listen to the full lesson on yesterday, but for this purpose today, we really just captured this as something that's controlling. It's not necessarily rude or in your face, but it's those slight manipulations and controllings that over time cause you to lose even the desire, the interest to add your voice or add your thought or add your opinion to anything. It's a simple example is perhaps even just going to dinner with someone, and the waiter attendant may say, what would you all like to have? And that person says, oh, well, we'll have seafood tonight. Maybe I wanted beef tonight. Like, it's this idea that it's not necessarily abrupt and rude, but there is this subtle way of taking away your voice and your thoughts. It overrides your input. It causes you sometimes to just give up on even adding voice. And then lastly, we talked about this one, a measure, and it is that the erasure process is often a smoking gun. It's distracting. It's a subtle exchange of internal peace for external peace. So what that looks like is, perhaps, as I used an analogy yesterday, I have this really important topic that matters to me. And anytime I bring it to the table, those thoughts, those dreams, those concerns or observations, somehow the person that I am in an exchange with, they figure out a way to start talking about something else. So perhaps we're sitting at dinner and I'm having a discussion with Charlotte, and I really want to talk to Charlotte about this observation or this thing that I find particularly difficult or perhaps even offensive. And then Charlotte distracts by saying, "Oh, why is it so dark in here?" And then I'm saying, "Well, it's not really that dark. I can see us. It's a candlelit, low lit dinner." And then she says, "But I can't really focus when it's like this." And before long, we're on a whole topic about the darkness of the room, or me needing to turn the lights up, or why didn't I use full lighting instead of the candles, right? And the thing that I really wanted to talk about is off the table. And over time, whether we're engaging with a colleague, with a person we're in relationship with, in a friendship, in a family member, if every time that you bring up an issue that is of importance to you, they figure out how to divert to a smoking gun type of conversation, they eventually mold you into understanding that I might as well not bring up important topics, because when I do, it's going to become very dramatic and very off course. And I don't have the energy to do that. So that's where that subtle exchange comes. So to keep that external peace, we forfeit internal peace. To keep that what seemingly makes everybody else happy and calm, we determine that we will no longer bring up those things that really matter to us. And man, just like that, women, which really is not just like that, we find ourselves slowly not honoring, not giving voice to, not speaking up or speaking about those things that really, really matter to us. and we look up and many of us feel lost. So come sit with me and let's talk. And for everybody who's coming to sit with me on today, I again say to you, welcome to the community where we're being better together. Go ahead and check in under the video and let us know that you're here. As you all know by now, those who track with us regularly, we pray for you and we call you by name. I direct our attention to page number 67 in the book. I know there are lots of new queens who are joining us. Yes, you are able to order a book. That's at www.drgenalyn.com, DRGENALYN.com. So I answer those questions when it comes to my mind for those who are asking. Yes, you can still get yours and jump right in here with us. We are right here, though, on page number 67. I want us to lean into the affirmation for today. As you know, we're making our way towards our scripture, so we'll do both just to put that as context before we deep dive forward. Today's affirmation: I declare that my connections will see and know who I am as a person. My essence will be captured with more significance than my success and or attributes. My personhood is a priority. Somebody say that again. All of you who are here, I'm envisioning like right here at the table with me. My personhood is a priority. I will maintain myself, my core, my center. All things that make me well. I see me. Again, as I have on each day that we've talked about this lesson, I acknowledge those of you who are making that declaration by faith. Those of you for whom you do feel lost. You do feel detached from yourself. You do feel sometimes as if you're having an external experience looking in at your internal self, trying to figure out who you are. We acknowledge all of that, and we hold space for you to step by faith into the declaration that you see yourself, and then join us in doing the work to really be in that place. We've all either been there, are there, or will be there, some of us, but we're all attempting to embrace what God has said about us. And what has God said? That leads me right into our scripture for today in Proverbs 18:24. It says, one who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. God sees us as connected, so we see ourselves as connected. God sees us as linked up, and so we see ourselves as linked up. God sees us in profitable engagements with others, so we see ourselves as that. God sees me as connected, everybody, so I see me as connected. So let's make some connections here. No pun intended, but let's make some connections here. We talked about the process of being erased. Those slides that we just ran through quickly, we did a whole lesson on that yesterday. This process of being erased. And we understand that that process normally happens in our engagements with other people. That process normally happens based on who we're yoked up to. That's why his word clearly says that unreliable friends soon comes to ruin. Those of us who are only connected to unreliable people, it soon comes to ruin. And what does all of that have to do with how we see ourselves? Well, the reality is oftentimes how we see ourselves is shaped by those who see us. It's shaped by those who have voice and who give essence and identity, or the lack thereof, to our very existence. So when we understand then that those of us who are linked up to those who are unreliable as it relates to our identity, we can't trust them with our self-worth. We can't depend on them for our self-esteem. We can't count on them to vote for us. Like those of us who are linked up in that way, and very in our most intimate relationships, we will find that we will consistently second guess ourselves and doubt ourselves, and slowly over time be etched away at and picked away at. And so what then becomes the implications of that? What becomes the implications? Y'all think with me as we sit at the table and we talk. What are the implications then of that? When we have stayed too long in relationships and in dynamics with others that cause us to somehow become invisible, what are the implications of that? And I see you all beginning to join us right here in the comments. One thing that we know for sure is that silence will have that spillover effect. When somebody perhaps in the family or in a close friendship or at home with our spouse begins to teach us that our voice is not valuable and we silence ourselves at home, oftentimes we will find that we will replicate that same behavior elsewhere. If we don't feel that our voice is valuable in our most significant relationships, we're definitely not going to show up elsewhere believing that our voice really matters and makes a difference. So there is a spillover effect that can come when we stay in those dynamics too long. Again, I invite you, because I know some of you have lived those experiences based on things that were shared yesterday. So what are some of the implications of staying way too long in environments that come to silence us? Another one is that, yes, we start to play it small to accommodate somebody else's insecurities, to accommodate somebody else not being sure, not walking in self-confidence. We find ourselves trying to play it small to make them more comfortable. We find ourselves trying not to shine so brightly because we don't want to outshine them. But somebody say with me on this morning, I'm taking my shine back. I'm pulling my shine back. I'm putting my shine on 100%, not dimming down and being dull. Y'all hear that? Not dimming down and not being dull to accommodate anybody. I'm taking my shine back. What else do we have as we process what happens to us when we stay too long in those exchanges? Y'all, we started saying things like this. Well, I don't know. I coach young women all the time when they're giving me their heartfelt feelings about something and they summarize it with saying, but I don't know. Have you ever done that to yourself? Where you've given your honest input or you're giving your honest thoughts about it, but your ending disclaimer about everything that you just said is, but I don't know, I guess. And I coach and I say to them, but you do know. You just clearly articulated your thoughts about a certain thing, or your feelings about a certain thing, or your intuition about a certain thing. Don't minimize what you bring to the table, what you summarize. Don't minimize it yourself by saying, well, I don't know, because you do know. You really do know. But you've been massaged and caused to feel as if I stand 100% flat-footed behind what I have to say, then perhaps I'm out of line or I'm out of order. And so we create space for ambiguity. We create space for there to be a lack of clarity. No, I said what I said. Right there in the comments, everybody say, I said what I said. If you ask me what I think about something now, I'm very careful to self-correct when I end it by saying, but I don't know, that's just, no, I do know. What I just said is what I meant. I said what I said. We've got to learn to really own that. So everybody right now, like, get that umption, square those shoulders. Everybody sitting at the table with me on this morning, square those shoulders and say for yourself, I said what I said. When they say, Latanya, what do you think? Or Sharice, what do you think? Or Michelle, what's your opinion on that? Or Sarah, what do you have to say about it? When you say whatever you say, self-correct when you catch yourself saying, oh, but that's just my opinion, I don't know. It's a way of minimizing our own voice. It's a measure of what they call self-imposter syndrome. That sense that says, I'm being an imposter. I'm really not an expert at this particular thing. I'm really not experienced. I really don't have anything to add. Yes, you do. Yes, you do, sis. Lean in, eyeball to eyeball. Pull up close at the table, eyeball to eyeball. Yes, you do. You have something very valuable to say, something very valuable to add. So the last one that I want to just bring up real quickly too is then this whole idea, this other consequence is that we end up suffering, y'all. Have you ever been mad at yourself? Have you ever gone home and had so much regret because you did not speak up for you, because you did not say your truth, because you did not stand up for yourself? Anybody ever been there? You want to hit that like button or say, yes, sis, I've been there. That's another implication of slowly erasing and wiping ourselves away. Is this idea that that I give up my internal peace for external peace, but then I go home and I'm upset with me. I'm angry with me. I'm disappointed with me. I have regrets about me. So all of those things begin to happen. And many of us, if we're very, very honest and transparent as we are here in the community, we would say we have been there and we have done that. And so here's the thing. Here's the thing. We have talked about the process of disappearing. of becoming invisible. We just kind of summarized in many ways some of the results. And I know these implications and results can go on and on and on. I see us adding them right here in the comments. The deeper question after understanding the process and understanding the results of the process, the deeper question, which is why I'm inviting all of us to pause for a moment and sit with it, sit right here at the table with me. The deeper question is why? Why? Why do we stay? Why do we find ourselves, even after becoming aware that a part of us is slipping away, even having that knot in the pit of our stomachs and that sadness that just kind of resides over our soul? Why do we stay in those dynamics? Why do we stay? In the interest of time, I'm going to jump to the end of it and hopefully help us work our way back. Here's what I would say. Healthy me, take care of needy me. Healthy me, take care of needy me. And I'm reaching out to hold hands. Y'all, like, we need to lean in and pray. Healthy me, take care of needy me. Heal needy me, because needy me is what causes me to stay in dynamics that I already know are unhealthy for my well-being. So let's real talk, chop it up right there. Needy me versus the me that needs. Those are two different states of being. There is nothing wrong with needing. There is nothing wrong with needing. All of us have needs. Having needs is a part of being healthy. It causes us to do the healthy interchange of connecting and leaning on one another. Needy me be doing way too much. Needy me walks around with us, what do we say in our cohort? With soul holes on display, with emotions intensified, with desires unmet on blast. Needing me is too dependable on the interchange of another human being to feel complete and to feel whole. Needing me, the me that needs something, understands that it is right for me to want to be in relationship. God created marriage. Needing me knows that it's okay to have that desire. The Lord speaks about friendships. Needing me, the me that needs, understands that it's perfectly acceptable to desire good friendships, to desire a safe work culture, to be among a colleague of people that challenge and push me to be my best. Me needing those different elements in my life to feel more fulfilled, it's great. That's a part of God's design. Needy me can look like clingy me, can look like abused me, can look like used me, ignored me, whatever those me's are that stay in a dynamic because I need something so desperately that I will pay the cost to have it in any way that it's given, even if that cost is unhealthy. This is what I'm clear about. The me that needs can receive what is needed with it not being at the expense of forfeiting something that is healthy. The needy me will receive what is given, but it comes at the expense of something that was healthy. It comes at the expense. It's like an exchange. If I'm going to keep my eye, then I need to be crippled. If I'm going to be able to walk, then I need to give up the ability to hear. That way of meeting our needs is unhealthy. And this I know, even if we were to take the simple scripture that the blessings of the Lord make rich and add no sorrow, what God gives to us that is good for us does not cause us to have to suffer or forfeit something else healthy to have it. The way that I'm able to delineate if this is from the Lord, if this is good for me, is the price that I have to pay to keep it. So to have companionship, needy me is willing, for the sake of companionship, to suffer abuse. Get that? For the sake of having a compliment, needy me is willing to always buy you lunch or buy you dinner so that you will come and say what a great person I am, at the expense of me living out of my budget, at the expense of me almost being broke, to have that compliment from you. Needy me and needing me are two different states of being. Why do we stay? For each of us, that is upon us to explore. We're doing real talk up at the table, like I would be leaning in to hear you. Only we can determine, what was I looking for? What was I searching for? What was I receiving that caused me to stay? That causes me to stay. For some of us, it really will be, that's my identity. I don't know who I am outside of that exchange. For some of us, it's fear. For some of us, it's comfortability. For some of us, it's I would have had to start over, so I count up my time vested or my energy vested. For some of us, it's because I still love whoever or whatever that thing is, and it's okay. Whatever our rationale is for being in dynamics that erase us, we have to come to our own truth about our why. As most of you know, and I'm not here to try to fix that nor judge that, but I am a strong supporter of you understanding you, so that even if you determine to stay, you know why you are staying. But for those of us who then say, I understand that I was afraid of being alone. I understand that I felt as if I didn't have a skill set that would allow me to make it on my own. I understand that I was afraid of starting over. Or I understand that I wanted friendships so bad. Or I understand that I've never been popular or liked or felt that way, so I do anything to try to fit in and people please. Like whatever those whys are, jump them into the comments. Somebody is saying, by the time I discovered that it was happening, I felt like it was too late. Or by the time I discovered that it was happening, I already felt too lost. Whatever your comments are, put it out there so other women can see. And if you see one that you strongly relate to, go ahead and give that queen some sense of acknowledgement. Either hit a heart or hit a like or tell them, me too, sis. Been there, done that. We just leaning in at the table talking. We're doing table talk. What's my why? Why do I do that? Why do I stay? What is it that I need? Some of us will use that why, that exploration to come on around the curve. Some of us will use that why, that good table talk, lean in to say, you know what? Until today, I'd never really processed my why. But now that we're leaning in talking about it, my why is really this. I just never thought I had any other options. But I'm beginning to own what God says about me. I'm beginning to see me like God sees me. I'm beginning to realize that, yeah, I got an option. That option is me. I'm my option. Somebody say that with me on this morning. I'm my option. I'm my plan A. I've been living like I'm my plan B, but I'm taking my authority back, my power back, my identity back. I'm my plan A. I do have options. Whatever it is for you, I don't even pretend that this quick 30 minutes that's already up is going to fix it all for you. But at least if you are on the journey to really seeing yourself, these are some tangible tools and tips. You can watch our video from yesterday and really begin to understand the process of how this invisibility begins to happen. You can find yourself somewhere in the process and identify the one that's really what happened to you. When you know that, that becomes empowering, not just as it relates to that specific dynamic, but any other relationships moving forward, you can say, for me, I know this is part of where I lost myself. And look at here, Gina, I will never lose myself like that again. And yes, I did say, look at here. Number two, you can then explore what are the results? What happened to me as a result of allowing or having that process, that erasure process happen? What are some of the implications? Do I now play it small? Do I now shrink in a room? Do I now second guess myself? Like, get really clear about what those implications are in your life. And then today we layer that with and understand your why. Because when you understand why you do certain things, it gives you the opportunity to either change those actions or get your needs met a different way. And that's where I want to end on today. Again, there is nothing wrong with the me that needs, but there is a difference between the needing me and the needy me. The me that needs, understand that needing things is valid, but the things that are good for me and good to me from my good daddy God, they do not come at the expense of me giving up something else that is healthy for me. Needy me is willing to have those needs met, but they come at the expense of something else that should have been good in my life. So we're determining today to do the work to really understand our why and then make different choices. We're right here at the end of our time. So I do want to just begin to prep us as we prepare to go into April, y'all. April is literally this weekend, Saturday, April, right? So we want to be ready for what's coming. This first quarter of the year, we've really been doing our work, y'all, to get our heads on straight, to really see ourselves like God sees us. As we deep dive more into April, I feel God moving us even deeper into that conversation and layering it with prayer. So I just want to remind you quickly of a few things that I have coming, but I'll talk more specifically about them as we get closer. I just want to honor that you're busy women, got a lot going on, want to make sure that it's on your radar. So firstly, I'll just speak to this one. On April the 15th, I will be at Brook Hollow, the Church Without Walls, the Queenston campus. The church is hosting an event. We'll be discussing Queens See Queens. I want you to understand that you can register for this event. That link is already provided here in the community. It is a sponsored event, which basically means they're covering the cost. The community can just come on in, but sign up so that they can have the appropriate amount of seating and know that we will be there. I would be so honored if each of you would be my special guest and plan to join us on April the 15th. I believe that the start time is 9:30 or 10, but the link is already posted in the community so that you can sign up and get onto that roster and be there with us as we do some deep dives together with our community sisters. And then number two, that is an in-person event. That's what I need to segue and say. That's an in-person event. And I'm highlighting that because I've heard the responses from some of you. A large part of our community is out of state, out of the city of Houston. And so I've adjusted to make these April activities accessible to both groups. So for the Houston party and whoever else is coming in person at Brook Hollow, I am going to switch our time of prayer, y'all get this, to Saturday, April the 8th. It will be a Zoom event, pulling away early that morning to just pray. But as I was praying about this shift, because we have members who say we couldn't come to the pop-up, we won't be able to come to the April 15th event because we're out of town, we live out of state, but we want to be a part. So I want to be sensitive to that and offer this. So everybody who's already registered for the in-person event, I will be refunding you, okay? No worries there. I'll take care of that. But this event will be on April the 8th. And as I was praying about it, y'all, literally, I understood that we're doing this early morning prayer during the weekend of resurrection. Like Friday the 7th, he's going symbolically on Good Friday into the grave. And man, on Saturday, April the 8th, early that morning, when Jesus is really about to finish the thing, I am so honored to be gathering for just an hour's time of prayer to really understand what is he finishing. Hey, When Jesus says it is finished, what did he just finish for me and for you? Y'all, we're going to have pointed teaching, concise teaching about the finished stuff, the stuff that is finished in him. And then we're going to pray and we're going to connect and we're going to pray and we're going to do it all within that time span. So there is a link where you are invited to sign up so that we can pray and get it organized before you come, already praying over us, having a very structured time of really processing what has been finished in him. We will pull down every thought that seeks to exalt itself against what Jesus has already established and paid the price for on Calvary's cross. So it is my prayer and it is my invitation that you intentionally commit to being a part of this time of prayer on Resurrection Weekend. We will start first thing that morning at 7 a.m. We will keep it concise and to the point so that you have opportunity to finish up whatever else you have on your plate for that weekend. But man, I think it's pretty perfect that we will pull aside for just a moment on Resurrection Weekend and have a time of prayer entitled Him Finished in Him, and really explore and pray over what he has finished. So again, that link will be there. Sign up, let me know you're coming, and we'll be prepared for you, okay? So with that being said, again, I'm just honored to be able to do this measure of work with you right here in the community where we're being better together, y'all. I'll see you here in the morning. As always, I honor the greatness that's on the inside of you. Y'all take care.